Back to the game lessons. This is we are on two system 2.1, or it's just gonna be 2.1. Is you know so this one's system. The next one might be a different one, but this one's 2.1. The next one will be 2.2. Color coding or something. So this is the undercover AI project. I'm glad you joined along. I like to feel, a little bit military, so I got the bandana on. I just recently finished up a, kind of a small reverse engineering doc that I put up on www.drowningsprintbrendan.com. I really love it. It's thick. There's a lot in there. It's really starting to get exciting. Doc 3 of just it's a weird thoughts doc is going to be out in the next couple months, and I'll upload that to Drawings by Brendan as well. So I'm glad to make it to the 2 points. In the game code lessons. I'm just going to kind of throw this together really quick so we can keep this moving. The last video was 1.5. It was on color coding. How RK began to take different characters of the alphabet and move them back on top of a colored block, and that began to mix colors. And then he made a spectrum of colors that he could play with. He named it RK's color spectrum. And so, moving forward, this is where some of the work gets a little bit complicated. Not so much because computer coding is complicated, but really it's because I'm just making this stuff up. I'll be honest with you. There's no such codes that I know of. When the questions were coming to my mind, the possibilities of how this works, I'm just kind of making stuff up and hoping that it's gonna fit. And the real thing I think is a much deeper study. But all in all, the black matters there. So wherever I'm trying to go to, I will get there to the just the concept of picking up the radiation from an idea of light out there in the universe and kind of just moving through the black matter. And I'm not totally sure where it goes, but it's probably just more of a Fisher Price Playland type of Toys R Us type of reality. Nothing too serious, and obviously this is not a real military project. It's not really an undercover military project. This is all pretty much just for study sake and for the book's sake. And there are copies out there of the book for sale. But this is all pretty much just fun. I just did a game musical video, just going over the musical, basically education. And that was really, really fun for me. And so now we're gonna go through and read this. Um, you know, so OK's color wheel was easy to navigate. Find the color and the number on the wheel by reverse coding. Place the cursor before the block going up on the color wheel command. Now, I mean, before we get any deeper, I mean, you might want to go back to 1.5 and just go back to thinking what was that color thing about, So this is where he gets, this is where it comes into my mind. I mean, you get something like a paint application. You got this color spectrum in the paint application. I mean, what are the possibilities of how to create something like that? Just in thought's sake. I mean, no behind the scenes, no digging through the C drive, seeing any codes, nothing like that. I mean, just surface level. How could that work? Well, my theory or thought could be that you place the cursor before the block going up on the color wheel. I mean, you'd have, these pixels maybe huge at the time, and you'd maybe make a spiral or something. Well, as you get the little cursor here, and once you get to, and it'd probably be about this size of blocks here. I hope that other video the sound isn't interfering with this. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so if that was sounding through the earbuds. I was listening to something as I was going. I mean, I didn't even think about it, but it could have came through the sound. But anyway, so here's the cursor. I'm moving it here. I mean, say these are all blocks. You know, and these were color blocks. You know, that he invented through the last lesson. And so once he gets to a block, he puts the cursor behind the block. And this is something I actually just want to remember because, I mean, in theory, I mean, would that work? I mean, just because, I mean, I wrote it and, the concept's there. So what he'd do is he'd put before the block going up on the color wheel, he'll hit, and then he'd command, in that block right there, he'd command run, and then, underscore system, he's, and as I'm going, this is changing a little bit, as I'm playing with this thing. And, I don't even think some of this stuff is possible, but I like to answer my own questions. And so, and then what he'd do is he'd press enter, after, commanding the machine. As of right now, I wouldn't be able to really completely, figure out how he could get that done, but that's how he's doing it at this point. And then the code of the block after the cursor will display its existence. Looking something like, okay, so this is where it gets a little bit complicated because you're going into the system and you're saying, load this image file pretty much, but you're not saying to load the image file. I mean, if you were to load an image file, see if I can get this onto a better font here. If you were to load a image file, you might say, like the tree, for instance, you might, and then you would say, or if not run, then, you would, load, so you're pretty much running here a load, which is a bit complicated, and then you'd load the, an open, possibly, you know, and then, file name would be, tree, and then he'd press enter, and what he'd get right there is pretty much basically, his last saved version of the tree. There's no codes in that tree at this point. I mean, it's kind of it's the light within the computer. It's just kind of a last remembrance type of thing. And so there's nothing sound in that tree at that point. And as he's digging deep, he figures, a system way of doing things. So that way when he wants his tree, he knows what goes in that tree. The blocks were already in the computer, so the computer kind of knows what he basically wanted out of the tree. But this goes a bit deeper, where he's telling the machine the entire program to run for that tree. I mean, one's pretty much almost a hallucination of the tree, and the other one is the facts of the tree, and that is very interesting to me. Um, so this lesson is very, very important. The black and the white, to see the amount of information running through the system is, it'd be incredible at this point. And so the code of the block after the cursor will display its existence, looking something like, and it would be backwards. See, these were the steps that he made. I mean, the machine captured his steps. So here he took the original word format, and he turned it into a square plus, and then enter. And then he took that square and changed it to purple, enter. And then, what was it? Okay, so, no, I can't totally remember the S here. So run square, purple, and then okay, so the S was the purple block. So I mean, just because the purple block is now purple, it doesn't mean the actual block is there. So he puts the S in there. Now he has a block. Okay, so then he runs the A, enter, run a white, enter, press the A. Now it's in an alphabet. He's still got the purple block there. He's got an A, and then he'll backspace and type a period right there, and then he runs it, underscore save, and he saves it as P2, like a purple 2 on his color wheel. Enter. And then what he does is he loads P2, and then this is where he's moving it around the color wheel right here. He's running P2 and he moves it with the arrow keys. He opens P2 and then he presses enter. Some of these slants are a bit, to play with. I mean, the machine might read 2 as 1, and this, I really want the facts on this, but there's no facts to it. I mean, even in some of my newer studies on, even if one was to kind of code their DNA to whether you would be able to see that in a quantum sense, I mean, I was told growing up by some pretty intelligent people, I mean, at least one person that I vividly remember in mind that, when you get down small into the quantum world and you go to look at the quantum particle, it would kind of change its position. So, and I believe that. I believe that quite a bit, and I've heard some other wise people on YouTube and on different videos saying that if you were to measure the quantum, that it would kind of, it doesn't actually, the science doesn't line up. So to presume that it changed at that point, I think is fitting. And so I mean, if somebody was to code a physical mind and the quantum particles right there, I don't believe that if you were to try to get out of what you your mind at that point, it might be tough. You might be in for a battle, but I don't believe it's impossible right there. So I'm not too scared of this stuff, but I keep a the idea of what perfection means, and so with these slants, I mean there's room to play in here a little bit, I mean as far as what's what, and again I made it up, and not only is there room to play, I mean there's probably room to write a whole new script. I mean in any format or any way. This just kind of holds together my mind at the moment, and it was fun, and I can, I believe I can easily learn from it as I'm going, comparing what I think to other people's work. This arcade would read, this he would load the color he selected, seeing the color to be P2. He now can give his desired color command to the computer. So this is pretty much for his memory's sake, so, this is nothing official. He has a color wheel, and, he doesn't know a good color to pick, and so, this, okay, would read this, he would load the color he selected, seeing the color, now give it to his desired, okay, so, I suppose, I mean, if he just had all these colors on the screen and he didn't, know what was what, I mean, it's not in black and white form, it's just colors. He needs to figure out what that little block was right there. Maybe it was purple, maybe it was like a purple pink, So now he knows it was a P2 from looking at his back work right here. And I find that incredibly interesting. And so, I mean, if we were to type that up here, his discovery, it'd pretty much be, it wouldn't even really be a run at this point. But we're gonna, because all the words, you could probably just load P2 and it would load the entire script as well. But, so we're gonna run, and then we're gonna do a load. And then, we're gonna, I mean, if I was to type open here, I mean, what do you think would open? I mean, are we gonna open the script, or are we opening the the product of the script. You know, I mean, that's the kind of questions right there where you have to wonder. I mean, what am I commanding the machine to do here? And so here we'll put this one, and then we're going to open P2, and we press enter. And this time, most likely in my mind, you know, a kind of a purple pink block would show up here, flashing over here in the corner up here. You know, and then if he pressed any character on the keyboard, it'd be a kind of you know, I could even kind of make that uh, that block. You know, this is just through. Well, it might not be as fun if I show too much here, but you know, it'd make a nice little pink block up there, and the work would be in that pink block. I mean, you know. So I mean, to save, compress, or to get rid of editing data, or even the data at all. I mean, I wouldn't know it if somebody asked me. You know, I have a JPEG. I mean, how do I get rid of the data in there? I mean, you know, and still have the image. You know, and then kind of you could take the image and kind of almost even rewrite it in a sense, or even make it a pixel, which is quite the thought as well. And there might be deep security issues, as you know, deep into the computer, depending on how far and deep this goes. You know, but this, you know, can take. It's a mindful, this little section right here. You know, here up here, what his command was, he just ran the script here. You know, he just ran a script like, I mean, say he put his cursor up here, he pretty much just, you know, pretty much just runs a script, and then, you know, whatever was after that little script there is he's pretty much gonna you know, press enter, and you know, that little O right there. I mean, it's not gonna happen on this word thing, but there'd be an entire script sitting there. Um, you know, so I mean that, and so open, you know, if you opened P2 right then, I mean, if you run load to open P2, I mean, what would happen right there? You know, 'cause I mean, you're loading it first. You're running a load, and so it loads an open of P2. I mean, it's kind of it's a little bit crazy in a sense, but you know, I mean, so you're pretty much running a program named load, uh, that opens P2. You know, I mean, you'd have to wonder what would happen if you just, you know, load, um, you know, uh, load P2, P2, and then, you know, uh, and then you press you know, load P2, and then you just press, you know, and so that's a thought too, to whether that would be possible, is to kind of load a P2, open P2 right there, because you're gonna, you know, in a sense, you'd be taking this, and you would, you know, you wouldn't be running it yet. You would just kind of load it. It would mean perhaps it wouldn't open, you know, and run is kind of like as if it read it, and open might as very well be like it read it. It almost seems more like, you know, from this perspective right now, that you would, you know, you would run um, P2, and then you'd press enter, because I mean, you're running a script here of this block that he made. So that makes more sense this time. I did not put it in the book, and I believe there's room to play with that. Um, you know, the reason I could say that he, you know, he would, the original up here I have is, so he run, load, and open a tree. I mean, you know, you know, the group of it, you know, to run, you know, command load that opens, that opens the tree to load an open tree. You know, maybe it read it like that, that it was gonna run an open tree, and the open tree was, it could have been this thing. So you know, run P2 probably. You know, uh, if it's easy, I suppose it's the easiest way about it. But you know, I mean, that's just, I think that's the facts right there when it comes to. I mean, that's just the basic facts. I think that it's black matter. I you know, you get one down, you get a good chunk of this down, and you just kind of go over and over and over, and you know, slowly get to a destination. And you know, I mean, they might have, you know, the computer original computer builders, you know, and programmers. There might not be an actual backtrack. I mean, it's almost like backtracking from planet Earth. There might not be a backtrack. You know, there's kind of only moving forward when it comes to the next destination. So with that being said, I'm gonna end this video. I'm glad you joined along. I'm excited to make this video. Have a great day.